Hey guys, Bradgod Gaming here, hope you're having a good day. Today I'll show you how to gain the Conqueror trait as a player and all its mechanics. In the 1.13 free update, this new amazing trait was added and it's incredibly strong, giving you the economy to sustain war, protection from murder plots, and free Casus Belli. There's also some bonuses down here to events and costs, which I'll go over later. Let's review the game rules a bit since this will overview the topics of interest. The first game rule for Conquerors is the frequency, and by default, Conquerors can spawn every 5 years based on a 2-step process. You can also select to have no Conquerors, or reduced and also increased chance for Conquerors. There are also similar options for strong rulers only, which I'll go over as well. So the first step is every 5 years, the game will see which characters fulfill these first requirements. They must be independent, they have to be a landed duke with realm being 3 or larger, they need to be less than 60 years of age and not incapable. They are not at war with no allies, and they have not been a conqueror and do not own the Mongol Empire title. Their neighbors also have to have smaller armies, and in the whole world there must be less than 12 conquerors. The strong only rule makes it so that someone needs to also have 3,000 military size, domain size of 4, and subdomain size of 15, 500 gold in their bank, and they need to be only 35 or younger. The subdomain means baronies, so if you're tribal, then you won't have multiple holdings, and instead you'll need 15 total realm size, versus for someone who is feudal, their holdings might have 3 subdomains, and they don't need to have as big of a realm. The AI also has a few additional requirements, basically a greedy, bold AI, which makes sense. When I see this list, some important reminders are that you can't have any allies and you shouldn't be at war when the check happens. So if you pass this first step, then the second step is the actual chance to see if you will gain the Conqueror trait. The base chance to gain the Conqueror trait is a small 0.25%. But there's many modifiers. Some of the big ones include martial skill level of 10 or greater. 10 martial means basically plus 2% chance. Being tribal or clan is also a big 1.5%. Martial education level 5 is also 1%. If you can use the Conquest Casus Belli, that's also another 2%. The ability to do a Conquest Casus Belli comes from being a clan or tribal realm, or if your faith is unreformed, or if you have the warmonger or pursuit of power tenets. I'm not sure if the Khorasan cultural tradition counts as part of this rule. If you're the temporal head, you get a massive 5%, so the caliphs of the Abbasid Empire and other head of faiths will get a big boost. If you're a king with distinguished prestige, can use the Conquest Casus Belli and has 300 plus gold, you also get a big 4%. I believe this bonus also stacks with the other similar bonuses. For penalties, just being the player gives a big minus 2.5%, and the more conquerors that there are, then there's a less chance of a new one. There's also a 5-time multiplier if you have a Child of Destiny modifier. This comes from a Wards and Warden DLC story, and it's a rare event that I've never seen personally. The chance is extremely low, so I wouldn't depend on this happening, but when it does happen, your child basically gets this Destined for Glory modifier, which turns into this Tools of Fate modifier and gives them massive skills once they become an adult. The other 5x modifier is from this A Birthright Renewed event, which is also from Wards and Wardens, and it seems to be something about a Baranus culture, which is located here in North Africa. I've personally never gotten this event, so comment below if you know, and either of the options will give unique modifiers, and those modifiers will give you that 5x multiplier. And lastly, the game rules will increase or decrease the chances as described. So knowing all of this, you basically want a rich tribal or clan ruler, as most of the benefits will align with those types of rulers and also their religions. And you can see in this game I have 6 conquerors, and almost all of them are tribal or clan, and only one of them is a feudal ruler. And here's a really basic build with the relevant traits and the point breakdown here, and this guy gets about a 6.26 base chance, up to 14.76 if they become a king, and if you play him in like a tribal land like Upland, then you have a pretty high chance of becoming a conqueror. You can also combine this young ruler with the strong conquerors rule, which will limit the pool of candidates to be 35 or younger. That way you have a bigger chance to be among the ones selected. On 2 attempts I was able to get the Conqueror trait, one time within 5 years and once within 20. It can vary a lot, so don't depend on it unless you want to reload the game. You can even play as Temujin in the new 1178 start date, and sometimes become a conqueror. The key is to remember that you can't own the Mongol Empire title as part of the first requirements, so you need to wait for the Conqueror event before you become Genghis Khan, but you can definitely become both if you want. In the Roads to Power DLC, you can become a great conqueror through a special decision as a landless adventurer. The list of requirements to take the decision is pretty long, so it can take some time to finish, but once you do meet the requirements, then you'll get a claim on the highest non-emperor title of the realm where your camp is located. So currently my camp is in this realm of England, so that's why I'll get a press claim on the Kingdom of England. And if I win this war, then I'll take over that Kingdom of England, and after a few days, you'll get the event to become a conqueror. Also, what I mean by highest non-emperor title. So here, my camp is in the Byzantine Empire, and currently the emperor only has the empire title, and the next highest is the duchy title. So that's why when I go to take this conqueror decision, I'm actually only going to take over this Duchy of Thrace. So the best targets for this decision are either a kingdom by itself or an empire where the emperor also has a kingdom title. So now that we know how to gain the trait, how does one lose it? Every month the game will check if any of the following are true. There's been 10 years of continuous peace, you have disgraced prestige, you're in 36 months of debt, you've lost 3 wars, you're not independent, you've become incapable, or you only rule a county. For the lost wars, there's also a counter for the ruler, and every year or two there's a 25% chance for that counter to be reduced by 1, so you can afford to lose some wars as long as there's time between each loss. Now let's go over the Conqueror bonuses. The default game rule gives conquerors just the Conqueror trait, or you can have them maybe gain the Scourge of the Gods modifier, which makes a conqueror even more powerful and very similar to Genghis Khan. A godlike health boost makes it so that they usually live to 90 or 100. They get even more protection from assassination, and they get even crazier army buffs, especially where they can siege you down in days and not months. You can either choose for them to get a small chance of gaining this modifier, or for all of them to always gain this modifier. One note here is that the player character doesn't get the modifier the first time, but your future heirs can get the modifier, versus the AI start out with the modifier, and their heirs get the modifier. More on inheritance in a bit. Conquerors also get some additional bonuses. Every year or two there's a chance for a Conqueror event to happen, and a 25% chance for that loss counter to go down. The events are basically free gold, free knights, free troops like levies or men-at-arms, free knights, and if you have less than 2 siege engineers, you can also get a free one. Each type of event has a 2-year cooldown, and most times requires positive opinion with the vassal or the counties. Some of the gold events will come from the counties, so the amounts might not be super high. This one you see it's only 33, but you get a little modifier. And if you see, it's actually this temple that is supporting us. And if we take a look at this temple's loot is 33. So that's how that second value is gotten. And then this is just a little modifier based on the loot amount. So for the peasant events, the more developed that your counties are, the more money you'll get from these events. Versus these vassal events are purely based on the vassal's gold, and the amount usually scales. The next few bonuses are for an AI only, with additional bonuses if the AI is also a Scourge of God. So every 90 to 180 days, the AI Conqueror will get stress loss, free increased men-at-arms size, or a free building built in their domain. And if they're a Scourge of God, they'll also get free prestige, free gold, increased skills, and also a chance to increase their education trait. So it really makes AI strong, and their potential challenge can make your playthrough more interesting. Lastly, the Conqueror trait can have inheritance, which by default is just the primary heir, or you can have it as no inheritance or all heirs. In order for heirs to inherit the trait, they must be an adult, they must be independent or will be, they cannot be craven or content, and they cannot have a cautious AI. What I mean by cautious AI is we can check the AI personality under a character's name. Any of these 4 words would reflect a cautious AI. So my heir currently has the cowardly adjective, and this is because he has the calm, patient, and shy traits. These are all part of traits that would reduce the AI boldness. There are also some other traits that can decrease or increase boldness. So despite not having craven or content traits, you'll see when I die, he actually does not gain the Conqueror trait. Versus here, I've replaced the shy traits with the temperate trait. So now his adjective is content, and this time around when I die, he will actually remain a conqueror. A character's gender also doesn't matter. So even though my daughter is my heir, and orthodoxy has male-dominated gender law, as long as she's eligible, then when I die, she will inherit the Conqueror trait. Versus if it's an ineligible heir, like my sister is underage, then when I die, she will not gain the Conqueror trait. The heir also does not need to be the same dynasty. So in this case, my next heir is going to be a different dynasty here. And when I get this game over, we'll see that this new King of France still is a conqueror. So as long as they meet the requirements, they will inherit the Conqueror trait. All forms of elective succession, including the Holy Roman Empire's princely elective, also pass on the Conqueror trait, but only to the winner of the top level election. For example, in this election, the Holy Roman Empire title will pass on to this guy, and although my daughter will still be a ruler, we'll see that she actually won't be a conqueror. And now that I am a vassal, I did not inherit the Conqueror trait. Instead, this guy became a conqueror because he won the top level title and he fulfills the requirement. Versus if my primary heir is going to win the election as well, then he will also inherit the trait. Versus if there are multiple elections of the same rank, then the heir of the primary title will gain the Conqueror trait. So in this example, I have both the Kingdom of England and the Kingdom of France. In the first election, my oldest son and my heir is going to inherit the Kingdom of England, which is also my primary title, versus my second son is going to inherit the Kingdom of France. So when I die, you'll see that my oldest son has the Conqueror trait, but my younger son does not. So for multiple titles of the same rank, just make sure you always inherit the primary title. Acclamation succession, which is in the new Rose to Power DLC, is basically the same as elective succession. Whoever is the winner will inherit the Conqueror trait. So right now I'm a conqueror, and because I didn't win the election and because I'm a baby, I do not get the trait, versus my new liege who won the succession gained the Conqueror trait because he was eligible. All heirs inheritance follows the same rules as single heir inheritance. As long as the successor is eligible, they will inherit the trait. In this example, I have 3 kingdom titles, each with a different heir. I have my son and these 2 vassals. So when I die, my son, because he's eligible, will have the Conqueror trait, and also the 2 vassals here, since they're eligible as well, they will also get the Conqueror trait. So if you want to keep the Conqueror trait or get rid of a line of conquerors, just keep these requirements in mind. And that's all I got for you. If you like this video, please subscribe and give a like. It helps me tremendously, so thank you so much. Leave a comment if you have any questions or video requests. There's also a request list in my community tab that you can check on. Thanks again from Brad God, and have a good day.